Hello and thank you for stopping by. Today I'll be working on this Bohlins push mower. It has a Briggs & Stratton engine, 125 cc's with overhead valves. I will show you the steps I take to diagnose this and to get it running. When it was dropped off, I was told it ran last year and it just wouldn't start this year. The first thing I did was to check the gas, and it had gas in it. It smells like stale gas. Now, it could be a couple of different things. When you put these up, whether they're in the shed, your garage, or outside, mice get into these things. They chew wires. The wire could be chewed. It could have a no spark situation, but more than likely, this is going to be a gas situation. Now, we see this air cleaner over here. This doesn't have to be replaced, but this could actually be washed. Wash this in soap and water. And what I'm going to do first, I checked the oil. It's got plenty of oil in it, a little dirty. It's going to have to be changed. But I'm going to spray some carburetor cleaner into the carburetor to see if I get any ignition. If I get ignition, then I know I have spark. That eliminates that situation. But what I'm also going to do as a service is to take this cowling off to make sure there isn't a mouse nest under here or any other debris. So I'm going to take this off before I spray the carb cleaner. And once I get that done, I'll be back to show you what I found. I have this carburetor off, but I just wanted to show you something. First of all, when you pull this carburetor out, there's this O-ring. Don't lose this O-ring. It has to go in here. Carburetor, you had to give it a little tug to get it out. I left the carburetor and the gas tank connected. This gas tank has these two lips that just slide into these cutouts. To get the carburetor off, there was one control rod over here, and you just turn the carburetor on the side and it comes right out. I just want to point this out. To get the carburetor will be in this way. Okay, the carburetor gets pushed into there. This piece for the air filter is what holds the carburetor in. You'll have a screw on this side, a screw right above the primer bulb. See it there? See that hole right there? Top of my thumb. And a screw on the bottom, and screw off to the side. First you take the screws out of this, then you can pull this carburetor right out. I took it off with the tank. I'm going to clean all up in here. We'll dust this all off, we'll clean it up, and all in all it doesn't look that bad. Now I like when they have this information right on the side of the tank. This lawnmower model year is 2015, so it's about 6 years old. It's in nice shape for 6 years old, but keep in mind it only gets used a couple of months out of the year. So I'm going to take this in, dump the gas, pull this carburetor apart. I'll show you what's inside the carburetor, if anything. And while I have this open, I'm just going to put this cork in here to keep anything from getting into that engine. That's all. After I'm done with the carburetor, I'll come out and clean this up. I'm ready to take this carburetor apart and clean the inside of it out. But before I do, I just want to show you the gas that was inside of the tank. If you could take a look in there, all that debris was inside the tank. I brushed the tank off and wiped it down before I emptied it, not to get what was out into the gas. You can see the color of that gas. This lighting might not help, but if you look real close, you can see. Try it this way. Oh, here we go. You can see that? That's water beading up in there. There's little goblets of that all around. So there was water in the gas, and just that little bit with this amount of gas, as the gas is going through the carburetor, as it's being sucked up, that little bit of water will keep it from igniting. Now, and this gas stinks, by the way. Doesn't look like there was any stabilizer in here. But let's get to this carburetor. Now, this carburetor has two screws on the bottom that I already removed, and they require a 3/8, I believe. No, 11/32 socket to get these out. And this, I want to keep the gas in there, and I'm tipping it. This over here, I believe I worked on one of these about a year or 2 years ago. I'm not mistaken. I don't quite remember. I know they pry apart pretty hard, and you don't want to snap anything. Could open it up down there, but this is a plastic bolt, and I don't want to mess with anything there. I believe right over here, here's the split right here, and there's an O-ring in here that holds it together. I might have to move the camera just so I can get a better torque on here. Let's see. Let's get something with a little more meat. Will that do it? If you could pry it just ever. That's not going to do it either. Oh, here we go. See that little opening? Let's see. Okay. Oh, that wasn't too bad. This other side. Here we go. Let's see what's in here now. Oh, this gas stinks. And if you're thinking it looks like something, you're absolutely correct. It does look like it. See it down in there? Phew, stinks. Alright. Back to this carburetor now. I'm going to work in this tray just in case something should end up going the wrong way. What do we have in here? Okay, we have a jet here. No. Oh, I see how this is here. Okay, I remember now. Now I remember. Okay, we're going to pull this pin out to get the float. Now, this might be able to clip right out, but it being plastic and with this gas eating away at everything, I'm afraid it might snap. And if you snap these two little holders here, well, that's it, you're done. New carburetor time. But you know what? I think I might have to do it anyway on this one. Oh, let's see if it goes. No. Let's see if it goes through all the way on the other side. Somewhat, sort of. No, I'm going to have to pop it. Yeah, just what I didn't want to do. Here we go. Well, nothing broke. That's good. Okay, there was no way on earth that this thing was going to run. Look at this needle. See how, could you see how clogged it is? The corrosion that's on this, the gunk that's on this needle. Look at this. Okay, this has a rubber tip, this needle. I'm going to clean this off. I'm going to clean this off in gas and not carburetor cleaner, because the carburetor cleaner might have tear up that needle, and I might end up having to order a new one anyway on this. Whew. I'm not sure if there's just that needle into a rubber setting. Some of the older ones had metal seats. Okay, now to get this out, this has to come out and be cleaned also. This is a little tricky. You gotta pull it out. You gotta pull it out without cracking it. I have to move the camera because I don't have the leverage I need to get that. And I'll be back once I have it out. The camera's picking this up here. Ooh. Here's the jet. Okay, we're gonna try and pry this out without doing any damage. There's an O-ring right on the top of it, I just saw. You don't want to... here it comes, nice and easy. Ooh, that was easy. This is a mess in here. I don't know whether the camera's picking it up. I can't see what's being videoed right now, but it's a mess. Now, if I remember correctly, right in here, that round ring coincides with this, and it has to line up right. When you're pushing this back in, if I remember correctly, I think I had trouble the last time, too long ago since I had one of these. When you push this back in, if it's not going in, that ring moved. And here's a Welch plug on here. If you had a kit and you're doing the Welch plug. Again, I get these things unexpectedly and can't keep everything in stock that you would like to. There's just so many different variations. would have to have a warehouse. And everybody wants it back fast. I'm looking for that little wire I had. Oh, here we go. You can see how, I hope you can see this anyway. Poking, oh, this comes apart. You can see this comes apart. Yep, it's all coming back to me now. I remember the first one I did, I spent a considerable amount of time trying to figure it out. It's fairly simple, once you know. Okay, these O-rings don't look too healthy. No, that's from the O-ring. I'm going to see if I have one to replace it. That I might have. There we go. Oh, I'm going to make sure the camera gets this. You can see that, how it's all cooked up in there. Okay, look at that. That's like a gel. Looks just like a gel. Yeah. Gas can't flow through that. All right. Once I start spraying, I'm going to shut the camera and get it out of the way. Got the garage door open and I just got company. There you go. Well, I believe I got that on the... Look at that. Man, oh man. If you can see that coming out. Yeah, I think once this carburetor's cleaned and that tank's cleaned out, I dumped the tank, I just got to clean it out. I don't think we'll have any problem with this starting at all. This is what happens when you leave gas in there. You got to drain the gas out when you're not using these machines. And the best thing is for you could get the ethanol-free gas. If you have the opportunity of getting that, even better off. Well. I see there's an O-ring down in here. Yeah. You got this over here. Jeez, I'm not sure what to do with this. This is where that needle goes. And the seat's down in here. I'm gonna see if I have WD-40. That's what I'm gonna spray in there. That shouldn't affect it, I don't think. This just needs a clean out. Nice thing about these plastic carburetors, they don't corrode. But they do get this. They do get their junk in there. Look at that. Okay. See something here. I poured gas in there just to see if any would come out on the supply side, and it was barely dripping out of there. So I'm gonna have to clean in there. I wish I had a manual for this. You can see it now. I have gas that I poured in here, but it's not coming up. There it is, dripping a little bit now. Whew, this stinks. Man, does that gas stink. Okay, first things first here. Clean this out. I don't know about this O-ring. This O-ring is shot. Maybe, maybe not. Lost my little wire. I leave it stuck in something. No. This was tough to get in. It was really jammed in there. So what I'm going to do now, shutting this camera off, getting it out of the way, I'm going to spray this all down. Spray. Uh-oh, I didn't want that to happen. Ah. I was warning you about that, remember? This piece here, this has to line up with the other piece. The first one of these I worked on, well, everything's out and I may as well just leave it out and spray it out. First one I worked on, it took me quite a while to figure out what was going on. Oh, look at this float. All the buildup that's on this float, look at that. It's just like a gel. Just like a gel. This here. I don't know if I could clean that off. I might have to buy a new kit for this. Oh, too close to the camera there. Well, tip looks okay if I could get it clean. All right, camera's got to go. I'm going to clean this up, and as I put it together, I'll get the camera back on. It's finally time to put this all together. The seat that's in here looks like it's metal, so that wasn't a problem. It took quite a bit though to clean that out. This was clogged. It was clogged solid. This over here, I put it back together. When I hit this with carburetor cleaner and blew this out, you had to see the gunk that came out of there. It was something else. The rest of it was just dirty, but this was incredible. The needle was all corroded on the side. Had like a green corrosion on it, and I cleaned it up the best I could. The tip is okay. I looked very close at the tip. The tip on this is fine, and you can see where it shines a little bit. I cleaned that down. So now it's a question of putting it back together. Here we go. We have the O-ring. This one came off. I had to put back on. This O-ring stayed on. This we had to make sure it was clean. And if I'm not mistaken, let's see which way this is going to go. If you can see down in here, one side has a larger opening, like a port, and one side just a narrow opening. I'm not sure if the camera's getting it. What's on my hands and everything, my back lenses, I have a mess over here. Matter of fact, I was outside cleaning the mower off. Had to get away from the smell of this gas. It was bad. Okay, I don't know. This way or this way? Now, I'm confused with this. Okay, it's not going this way, so you have no choice. This is the way it goes. Now, this is that piece that came out, and this has to line up with this hole. And this goes in here. So, the way I'm going to do it, I have this orange toothbrush. I know it goes this way with the flange sticking out. That much I remember. You can see that. I'm just going to push this in. And now, you can see the orange, you can see the hole, and you can see that orange. Going to get this, pop this in, get it started, pull this straight out, and it should work. I think we got it. Yep, we got it. Okay, so that's in. Now, remember what this float looked like before? You gotta see what the rig looked like when I wiped it off. It was something. All right, we have the hinge for it. And we have this needle. Needle slides in on the bottom. And what I didn't want to do was snap it into here. I'm worried about these breaking, but I don't have much choice. I can't slide it through. It's just not enough room to get that pin all the way across. So what I'm going to have to do is put the pin in. And this is a crucial moment. If either one of those snap, all this was for nothing. Okay, I'm going to push them in at the same time. That's not gonna work. Yeah, they're tight. It's got me a little worried here. Oh, that one easy. Okay, that was the part I was concerned about. The float's moving up and down, no problem there. Now this I might have to play around with. I'm not sure if it goes on one way or the other, or if it matters or not. I guess I could look at the video and see where that was positioned before. I don't know if it would matter. Let's see. Well, actually fits better this way. Okay, so this is how it's going in. Now keep in mind you're working with plastic, and when you're tightening this up, you don't want to strip out the threads. You don't want to crack the plastic. This was a lot closer before. Let's see. I think I'm putting too much pressure on here and this isn't moving for some reason. Let me try screwing it in and see what happens. Snug this up a little bit. Oh, there we go. All right, we're good. Just snug. That's it. Now, one of the things I did, I put this hose on. This isn't the hose that belongs to it. After I cleaned the inside of that where the seat was, I poured gas in the hose to see if it would come out where the needle should be. It wasn't coming out with a steady flow. So I kept cleaning in there until this flowed out nice and clean. Then I hooked up the air compressor to it and blew it out. I blew that out. I blew out everything that's in here. Every opening was blown out. So this carburetor is clean. Take this hose off. Again, this is just a scrap piece of hose. And if you want to check to see if your float's working properly, put a clean piece of hose on, turn the carburetor over, blow into it. If you can't get any air through, it's closing. When you turn it over and the flow drops, because there's nothing holding it up, like the gas would when it's full of gas, you should be able to blow through it. If that happens, you float and seat are good. Now, one other thing, while I was getting away from the smell of this gas in here, I pulled this plug out. Now, this plug has paint on it, so that leads me to believe that it's an original plug. Like when they put the plugs in and they paint the machine. But it's burning pretty clean. What I don't get, the gap is almost non-existent on here. I have to go online and see what the gap is on this plug. It's definitely smaller than 0.25. So I have to go online before I can start this up. I'm going to check the gap on this. It looks like it's in good shape. And he was using this machine last year. I believe it was this carburetor with all that gook that was in there. I'm going to finish cleaning out the tank, and then I'll show you how to reinstall this carburetor. I'm wrapping this up now, and I went online to check the gap for the spark plug, and it says that it should be gapped at 0.30. This isn't even close. Now, if I bring it down to 0.25, it's even tighter than 0.25. So what I'm going to do is kind of like split the difference here. I'm going to bring it up to 0.28. He said it was running last year, so I don't know. I'll bring it to 0.28. We'll see how it runs, see how it handles in the grass. And if it cuts well, starts up well and everything, we'll leave it at that. That's 3 now. Bring it back down a little bit. 0.28. It's just a little snug there. And 3.0 doesn't fit in. So 0.28 is just under 3.0. So we opened this gap a little bit. Going to install this plug, put some fresh gas in there, and see what this machine does. There's fresh gas in it. The oil is good. Plug is in. let's see if we'll start. I'm holding the camera and trying to do this all in one shot here. Let's see. Let's prime it a little bit. Here we go. No. Prime this a few times. Now let's see what we have. 1, 2. Hey, that sounds like nothing there. What's going on here? Let's see. No fire at all. Let's see, what do they say to prime? How many times here? 3 times. Okay. Maybe I'm flooding it now. Okay, we gotta take this thing back. Well, as you saw, when I went to start this, no spark. Wasn't aware of that issue. I'm going to take this cover off. I'm going to check that magneto. I'm going to check the kill wire. Maybe there's something with this. Maybe it's not disengaging on this end. But according to the owner, last year that wasn't an issue. But neither was the dirty fuel. So once I get this apart and I find out what's wrong, I'll be back. As they say, back to the drawing board. Now this doesn't get any spark, so the first thing I'm doing, I'm checking when I release the bail up here, and it releases the brake. I want to make sure that this is clearing right in here. If that get it off, you let go of the bail, the brake goes around the flywheel. It also short circuits the current and knocks out the spark plug. Now, this is something I should have looked at when I first opened this up. I thought this side here was a little too close as far as gap, and there's rust over here. I'm just hoping that the rust that we see and what's probably on the bottom is enough to keep it from having a good ground. I'm going to remove this coil, clean up that rust, re-gap it, and see if we could spark then. And this requires a 1/4 inch socket to remove it. As soon as I clean this coil up and the post, I'll be back to show you how to install it and gap it. I just want to show you the before on this. I removed 2 screws, and underneath right here is where the kill wire connects. Oh, I dropped it down below. You can see the amount of rust that's on here. It's almost rusted solid. I don't know how this got so rusty under here, but I'm gonna clean the face, clean the top, bottom, pretty rusted on the bottom. I'm going to clean these 2 posts they get screwed into. I'll also clean off the magnet that's on here. Once I have this cleaned up, I'll be back to show you how to install it. Now that it's cleaned up, I have all this cleaned off, bottom of it, where it makes the connections so it could ground. What you need is a feeler gauge, the proper gap for your machine, and not having that, I'm going by my old Reliable. I'm using a standard business card to get my gap. This has not failed me on any of the machines I've worked on. Now to get this coil back in, you have this tab has to be connected to this wire here. This is the kill wire. When you release the bail, current will go from the coil to the kill wire and ground it out, causing a no spark situation, and that shuts your engine down. I have to put this camera down for a second to connect the wire to the tab. You want to remember to connect that kill wire. If not, you won't be able to shut the engine down unless you pull the spark plug wire. If you go around with a tool all around, you'll notice that part of this flywheel is magnetized and part isn't. First you want to get these 2 screws in. And I even cleaned off the screws, the rust off the screws. Whatever's going to make contact was cleaned. Pull the coil back. Turn in these screws. Now, get your business card or your feeler gauge and turn the flywheel until you get that magnetic part of the flywheel to the coil. You'll know when it's there because this coil will be pulled up by the magnet. That's one side, and there's the other side. Okay, so both sides are touching. Now you tighten these screws down. And good and snug. Like I said, I'm hoping this was the issue and that we don't have to go for a new coil on this. I want to get this machine out of here and not have to wait for a coil to be delivered. Okay, that's good and tight. Just turn your flywheel, get the card out, give your gap. To get this flywheel to turn easy, to release this brake, I just tied a string on the top of the bell to hold it so I can turn this freely by hand. I'm going to reconnect the cowling, connect the spark plug, put it down, and then I'll show you whether we have spark or not. Now for the second moment of truth. I hit that primer bulb a couple of times. Let's see. This should stop. Okay, not sure what it is right now. I'm going to shut this camera off, but I'm going to pull it a few more times, see if it stays running. If it doesn't stay running, I want to get it up on the table and pull that spark plug out to see if that spark plug's wet or if it's dry. If the spark plug's wet, I have something going on with the electronics. If the spark plug is dry, I have something going on with the fuel delivery. So that's what I'll be doing next. I'll be back to show you what I have. All right, they say 3 times is the charm. It started raining and this grass is all wet. And if this starts, I'm gonna regret cutting the grass in it because I'm gonna have to clean it all out. But I have to see if this thing's gonna run. So let's give it another try. Let's prime it up. Let's see what we have. I'm gonna get this camera in before the camera gets wet too, so here we go. Prime it in. All right, so this grass is wet. It's been raining on and off all day today. We had a downpour last night. grass is soaking wet. And this machine went right through it. Now, going back into the garage. Let me get this into the garage. Whew. As I was walking up the driveway, rain started coming down again. So this machine's a go. I did hear some tapping. I have to check the specs on the valves. It's running okay, but I hear tapping. I don't know if that's normal on that. Sounds like a Subaru. But that said, what's next is I have to sharpen these blades, although it didn't cut bad the way it was. Clean this machine up underneath, get this wet grass out, clean it up, call the owner up, let them know it's ready. And that's it for this season on this machine. If you found this video useful or entertaining, or you have any questions at all, please post your comments down below. Give it a like, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe. And be sure to hit that notification bell, not to miss my new videos as I upload them. And if you know of anyone who might benefit from these videos or find them useful, entertaining, whatever the case may be, let them know. Please share it. And until next time, stay safe.